Ladies and gentlemen, it's the moment that you have all been waiting for. It's Odyssey versus American Tornado, back after our first map, Lemon. I said to you, I want to see the individually skilled American Tornado go up against possibly the single scariest player in this tournament. That's Sigma on the Tracer on Odyssey. And a couple of hours later, here we are.
And we got to interview OG and Ultraviolet, mainly OG, about are they going to do anything different against Sigma? Because you guys all got to witness how terrifying Sigma is on the Tracer. I know it's confusing. We can't do anything about the name. You just have to follow along with it. But he's actually cracked. And he's playing from Korea that I know of, so his ping's outrageous, and he's still that good. I think he's actually smurfing. And he's still a young player. I'm excited to see what Sigma can do, and the rest of Odyssey can do now with these additions. But American Tornado, they're not going to change anything. They said it live in the interview. They're just going to do their thing, and it's been working out. They got 2 3-0s in a row.
Smurfing in the Mayhem Spring Classic, weird champ. And
weird.
Interestingly, American Tornado have been able to get those clean wins while utilizing what has become the prevalent composition, Lemon. We worried that after they had been stomped by Revival in the upper bracket, that maybe a little bit knee-jerky on my part, but is Rush the composition for American Tornado? OG was telling us about how it is 100% basically all the time. You need to have the reaction speeds of a fox, and you need to be very much on point with both your combos and your abilities to try and mollify them. And sometimes American Tornado likes to take it a little bit more easy, you know, just list lazily as the Mercy through the air using Angelic Descent, watching speedily win the game. And that hasn't been much of an option recently, but potentially against Odyssey, who have been a lot more keen to allow for more DPS-centric matchups where there isn't so much Reinhardt, but instead there's a little bit more Tracer, there's a little bit more Ashe, that we could see some value out of a Speedily Echo alongside the OG Mercy Pocket.
Yeah, we did see a little bit of Rush from Odyssey, but again, they play a lot of Hammond. Rhino has it. It's one of those like incredible flexible tanks that can play anything. So maybe the jack of all trades, maybe, I don't know if you could say he's a master of one, right? So, but that's what's good about having a flexible tank. You can have the Hammond when you need it, and they usually go double shield when things don't look so good. The only thing is that you guys saw in the bracket, Odyssey have only lost 1 map throughout this tournament, and it was the 1 map that Sigma got substituted out, I believe. So it's like, can they still win maps without Sigma? And well, the answer is you don't have to substitute Sigma out if you want to. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Because what I see in our lobby right now, Sigma and King will be starting, and Odyssey just play all these different combos, but American Tornado is just going to stick to their guns.
I think that we also have some of the best synergized tank and support lines on Odyssey as well. Rack Attack and Luke Mino, one of the longest standing support lines alongside OG and Ultraviolet, and I think Rhino and Vulcan as the tank line of Odyssey are potentially the longest standing tank line in North America. Now that we've seen the breakup of greats like Decod and Icy, of Rhino and Cucumber, they may be the last ones who have went all the way through 2020 who are incredibly relevant, who are left as a pair, and that could be a great boon for them in these tank duels.
So starting off on our map number 1 of Oasis over Florida Mayhem Spring Classic. $5,000 prize pool. First to 4 Odyssey get that advantage from coming to the winner's bracket. You guys are now filled in on all the rules. You can also put ! bracket in the chat if you want to find out the journey these teams have been going through. But starting on Gardens, no surprise that Rhino's back on the Hammond. They will be playing around maybe King Sombra if that's what they stick with, but we haven't seen a lot of Speedily Sombra in a while, but you know, this guy can play anything.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure anything Speedily picks will be incredibly useful. Of course, Lemon plugging the bracket right there. Why won't you give her mod, Mayhem? She's working for it. She wants the sword. Give Lemon the mod.
I know, man. I only get the diamond. I'm okay with the diamond, the little VIP thing, but looks like American Tornado are going to stick to that Somber and the McCree. So let's see who's going to get more value out of those initial hacks. It is also important for these divas to go for those spy checks. So if you see Vulcan or Falls kind of tweaking and shooting at air, that's because they're spy checking.
Oh, King on the Farah is very interesting here. Well, I was going to say Wub could try and deal with that, but never mind. Luke Mino's got the opening pick there on to the McCree, and we know that Luke Mino is incredibly dangerous. Zenyatta and King's incredibly dangerous in their own right. OG's dead.
Odyssey have shown this hand before in the tournament, and American Tornado thought they were ready for it with the Sombra to hack either one, with Wub with the hit scan at range. But when your hit scan is the first to get picked, you're going to be in a bit of a pickle. And Odyssey, now that they get to defend with the fire, that's going to be so huge.
This is what I wanted to see. Speedily onto the Tracer. We know this guy can play anything, but a Tracer mirror against Sigma, that is asking the most of a DPS player. Hopefully they might be able to get some extra support. Ultraviolet moving over here onto the Ana. It's quite interesting to see. This is going to allow them to try and play in a safer position and allow for them to pocket False and Rhino on their dives from a while away, but they have to be continuously thinking about where Rhino and King are.
And as long as you keep Luke Camino safe, because you know Speedly's going to come after him, and Sigma gets a little too close to the sun. You do not want to duel with that McCree VS flashbang, or at least don't be in range of it. Both Tracers are removed, though. 5 versus 5. Is this poke damage from Odyssey, from the far going to be enough? And Luke Camino's Transcendence was forced, and one is sleep from Ultraviolet to stop the far barrage. And that's really hard for Ultraviolet to react that fast. He has barely 25 HP, and Sigma will get the finish, gets the recall, probably going to dominate Speedily, got a lot of headshots in, but now has to go back towards his healers, and Speedily gets the last laugh. So this could be an opening for American Tornado.
Bit of a yikes grenade there from Ultraviolet. I think it slipped under the bench and didn't actually have line of sight on the Ana themselves, didn't get the self-healing that they wanted. And right now, I feel like American Tornado don't have the pace that was so characteristic of their previous rounds. Remember, guys, this is a first to 4. It is going to be a long haul that we're going to be here for, and Sigma's already taken a little bit of damage, going to force him to step aside as Speedily sends out a pulse bomb, but gets no kills off the back of it.
Rhino down 5 versus 6. Odyssey have lost their far. They have a Valkyrie. Vulcan is using a self-destruct, and the immortality is used to save American Tornado only for the moment, as Ultraviolet is missing. It's up to OG to keep American Tornado kicking, mainly Speedily and Wub, who are working in unison to take down Odyssey. As, nice little body block for Rhino there. Rhino with a double boom. It's a little bit chaotic, but what is left after all is said and done is 3 or 4 players from American Tornado versus, I think, a far up in the sky. Self-destruct for False. Maybe he thought he was going to die. He's still back in this fight. Somehow still gets King. I have no idea how King was in range of that. And that's enough. Odyssey, they poke their heads into that point, and they get shut down. So, 99% for Odyssey. American Tornado have to climb back.
Sigma managed to absolutely bully the backline of American Tornado, and Wub is going to be the next victim. American Tornado are still in control here, ostensibly and Speedily. If they can get rid of the Mercy, that might be a stabilizing factor. They want to continue tapping this point, but it won't be a stick from a pulse bomb. Luke Mino now will have to try and duel with the Tracer, while King is looking for a great target to get the rest of this barrage from.
I like that False, whenever the rest of Odyssey are distracted, he's trying to dive rack attack. And you guys heard from OG how difficult it is to live as a Mercy, and now that D.Va is in the meta, but nice few picks there from Odyssey, and mainly King is one last, tried to barrage Wub, got flashbang, but he's still the only one living for American Tornado, and look how the tables have turned. 2 3-0s in a row, 99% though, but it's to Odyssey, and they start off our map 1-0 in rounds.
Some might say this is one of Odyssey's premier maps. Being able to play both the Tracer in a very, very friendly area where she has a lot of cover to play around and hide behind, and the Pharah, very friendly, and this is possibly the best way for them to move on now as well. Tracer could have been a little bit more neutered in terms of her efficacy on University, because you've got 3 major lanes which are quite easy to check with a McCree, but here on City Center, you guys have seen tons of iconic Tracer plays across Overwatch League, across contenders. This is a Tracer's playground, and once again, Speedily has to step up to the plate to try and check Sigma.
So I think Speedily is doing a pretty good job of checking Sigma so far. Like, there's no clear Tracer diff like we've seen in other matches, but Wub and False have to work together in the future matches to deal with if the Pharah and Mercy come out again. But this time, it's the Sombra and Tracer from Odyssey, while it's the Tracer and McCree. So Wub wanting to get the stun onto King if he, comes out of invisibility near him, and, maybe deal with Sigma too if he comes close.
Sigma does a good job here of, after using their recall, playing very close to their supports, trying to bait Speedily into a door that they may think is advantageous. And once that recall is back up again, it'll be once again a deep insertion for Sigma. In goes Reiner for the nice dive.
It's going to be so tough for Rock Attack to protect Luke Mino. That's kind of the main reason you have a Brigitte in this composition, because not a lot of people are going to be accessible to you, and you just got to have that shield bash ready for if Speedily comes knocking by, or if he pulses, you try and catch it with the shield, put the shield down. You can maybe save Luke Mino, but it's going to be maybe a more boring game for Rock Attack.
I don't know, I think Rack Attack enjoys this particular hero. He's quite well known for it, but I think that Rack Attack's done a good job during our off-season of expanding his hero pool a little bit. We already knew that Mercy was good, but potentially a couple of question marks over their Lucio, which have been assuaged for me in seeing Odyssey's earlier games.
False gets hacked, and well, he does miss a good bit of HP, so King is farming up towards that EMP, 20% away. This will be a winning condition for Odyssey to hopefully take back this point. But so far in the hands of American Tornado, they use the Amp Matrix at the back. King is ready with EMP. He comes to the team. Are you guys ready to follow up with this? And you see that the backline from Odyssey is being pushed. Luke Mino was remove a great stick from Sigma. Gets rid of Ultraviolet. Vulcan eats up the Speedily Pulse Bomb. They're seeing Odyssey working so well off of these engages, and they're going to have to wait for this EMP. American Tornado still have the point, though.
Don't know if that minefield was particularly necessary from Rhino here, and Speedily will still get onto a point and survive for a while. You can actually contest here for ages and ages and ages if you have the respawns, and that's exactly why you see American Tornado committing one person after the other to trying to stay on this point, because it's so difficult to take it away because of that central pavilion offering a huge amount of cover. Eventually Odyssey will rip them from the point with particular force, and now their next engagement is going to be very, very, very well endowed because of the EMP, because of the self-destruct. These could tear a team apart if OG is caught.
King is looking for OG, sees Ultraviolet, knows he has to be nearby. He was discovered by maybe a D.Va, some kind of shot revealed him, but he's still living in the back of American Tornado, and they know he's there too, so King has to choose this EMP carefully, and you also don't want to be overly patient with it too, because he could have had time to build up another EMP and have more opportunities to do something, but picking off Sigma is going to hurt Odyssey. Still have the EMP, but without Sigma, they might want to wait on it, and they are building time. They go for the EMP anyway. OG is with the Sound Bearer, and American Tornado are fine for now.
Sigma will be back in the fight very soon as well with a pulse bomb to boot. Wub's got a lot of danger headed towards him, and False needs to disengage. He isn't going to invest for self-destruct at this point, and he's just going to try and play it a little bit further back. They know that Odyssey are now going to be a lot more lacking on tools to try and repel the next attack, so maybe it's better to live and fight another day.
This EMP was used, but he didn't get OG, and he was looking so hard for him, and now OG's actually on the Brigitte. So maybe wanting another layer of someone to CC to stop Sigma in their tracks, because I don't think there's just enough punish to Sigma. And Speedily could try his best in the 1v1, but if Sigma goes and hides away in your backline, it's going to be hard for Speedily to do anything about it. Some mines drop from Reiner and a Rhino. And you have Sigma Pulse Bomb hit some of these supports. Ultraviolet's the only healer left from American Tornado. And unless that false self-destruct was going to pop off, this is American Tornado struggling a little bit. And even more that Odyssey have control of the point.
And this could be Odyssey winning our first map here and going up 2-0. It's not going to be a connection with the shield bash, but it could be a connection with the EMP a little bit later. False runs out of Metcalf. There's going to be no chance for a remake. All of her zero abilities are denied, and that's an EMP onto 2. Get off my point, says the Wrecking Ball. And Odyssey come out swinging Lemon against American Tornado, who must have been coming in quite confident.
Talk about domination when Odyssey have EMP as an afterthought. We're already winning the fight without it. Do it now. Now you're just doing it because you can, because you use it or lose it. But kind of surprising to see American Tornado not even take a round. It wasn't really that close, and it's not that Speedily is getting destroyed by Sigma. I think Sigma is just getting away from Speedily and having value in terms of killing the supports before Speedily can take his attention away.
I think the Sigma's also very good at playing in a specific zone of influence where his supports can try and gang up on Speedily after he uses his recall, because Speedily knows once that recall is used, that's the best time to try and get that 1v1 with Sigma when you've got the significant ability advantage, but the positioning and numbers advantage goes the way of Sigma after that because of good positioning. And I know you guys couldn't see, but I thought I'd inform you that all 4 of the post-game cards there were Odysseys. American Tornado didn't get 1.
And that's tough. And King, I think technically the one EMP that did matter OG was able to sound barrier, so I think American Tornado are good at reading what Odyssey want to do, but it's just these fights get also a little bit chaotic, but that's just kind of flavor of control. We are getting into our next map chosen by American Tornado, which is Havana.
Havana's interesting. I don't think we're going to see Hydra on still. This is a much more fortuitous area to try and force the Reinhardt brawl. And we saw that Reinhardt, they tried early on Oasis for the Reinhardt brawl before realizing that the map's geography just was not conducive to it. If they'd gone to university on the random draw of the map, maybe it would have been a different story with the Reinhardt's rush. But on both city center and gardens, there's too much verticality. It's very difficult to move between those planes of existence with the Reinhardt. It's very difficult to have a consistent effect that's positive for your team with that hero. However, Havana, we've seen again and again that American Tornado flourish here with their spawn point holds. And when everyone's that tightly packed together outside spawn, I don't know if Sigma's going to be able to get as much value on the Tracer.
And Odyssey did play Rush on their defense against Dark Mode that we saw on stream, but then they went into some funny business of double shield with an Ashe, Genji, Zen Bap, and I was really confused. I was like, man, North America plays a little different Overwatch, but I would hope that Odyssey go and match the Rush in terms of who would be the better Rush team. I mean, American Tornado have shown us time and time again they're just the best at it. I just think Double Shield is going to get kind of run over. As long as American Tornado...
with Odyssey, they saw an Orisa, right? And Rhino loves the Orisa. The second Rhino sees a potential Orisa mirror. He's like, team, I don't care what you say. I'm going Orisa. And, like, we were joking earlier when we were watching the games about fight or flight responses. And, like, how for most people, adrenaline just pumps. But the fight or flight response for Odyssey is that they either surrender the game when they panic or they go double shield. And they are very, very good at that because both Rhino and Vulcan are exemplars of Orisa and Sigma. But I don't think it will work too well against Angry Titan, so they're going to probably be forced into doing the Reinhardt Diva to try and counter them.
Also getting word in chat that Dove is being substituted in for Sigma, which is similar to what they did against Dark Mode. Dove and King were either playing the Ashe and the Genji or the McCree and the Mei, and that just seems to be their game plan specifically for that map, and we'll see if it ends up paying off. Also, King was seen playing the Fire, and how much they were able to punish and just pressure out Wub. It was a different look to see American Tornado not, be kind of scared and not be at an advantage.
And one of the things we saw from American Tornado, which I don't think I've seen thus far this tournament, is American Tornado having to swap, to have to try and change their strat on the fly to see what would work against an imposing foe. And it warms my heart, Lemon, to see American Tornado sweat a bit. I like to see them playing Overwatch at its most frantic, because that's where we see the greatest heroic plays. And Sigma's been providing them, Speedly and Wub have been providing them all the way through the day. Now with Dove in, Dove obviously has a little bit of a longer range hero pool than Sigma does, a little bit better on the McCree, a little bit better on the Ashe, and the McCree is integral here because Wub's had some tough competition in McCree versus McCree thus far. Seeker gave him a run for his money earlier in the day. Dove's going to have to do the same thing.
And this makes sense that Odyssey want to have Dove in if he feels more comfortable, if he's the better McCree player over Sigma, who just might be their Tracer specialist only. And I'm totally fine for that. Tracer can be played in almost every map, but they're going to test out and see what this rush looks like, at least out their spawn room doors, and they're going to be met by the same thing from American Tornado.
Man, I wish that they weren't called AT. I cast them Angry Titans for 3 years, and now AT is just Angry Titans in my head. It's actually American Tornado. I'm just a dummy. Rhino already just going to be swinging into the midst here, and oh my god, Rhino's already dead.
Yeah, that's such a quick reaction. As soon as that Mei wall came up from Speedily, got Rhino in between it, sandwiched Rhino between a wall and Reiner. And Reiner, all he had to do was swing, and Rhino didn't even know what happened, and he was dead. So kind of a temporary fight win for American Tornado. Some nice ult charge for Reiner, too. Rhino has to be careful about this.
That's a great name for 2 Reinhardts in 1 game. Dove checking the corner. I love to see it, but he did invest a roll here. That's going to make his disengagement potential a little bit less and his DPS output slightly lower as well. But they have isolated Reiner right here. They need to be able to punish it, but Wub gets to punish first.
Just a little bit of tunnel vision from Dove. You know, they had that isolation while you pointed out from King. Got Reiner, but you did notice Wub at an off angle with a flashbang, and that was scary. To remove Dove just means a huge damage advantage. Or to remove Dove means a huge damage advantage for Wub. American Tornado rolled after that.
That is a nasty stagger there as well onto Luke Mino. We've got a tale of 2 of these amplifications. Are they going to put the Ant Matrix on top of this sign? That would be cyberbullying. At that point, I would lodge a complaint with my congressional representatives.
At least they put it on the low ground, so once they jump down, they can use it. But Rhino got too aggro. He got frozen up by Speedily, and there was just nothing that could save him. No immortality, no nothing. So, see, American Tornado having to reset. Or no, they're on the cart now. Odyssey have to reset for the 3rd time.
Reiner isn't there, though. This is a huge advantage for Odyssey. There's no permanent barrier. That's too early, maybe, there from Dove. Isn't able to get the kill, but they will manage to follow up onto King here. Somehow American Tornado in a 5 versus 4 are coming out on top, and they're investing ultimates to do it. They know they have the chance to win, but they've lost Ultraviolet. It's going to be so difficult, so they put down the hammer, and they put people on the ground. There's a forced reset to come through from a mech, but Reiner's returned, and he's doing work right now.
Almost every single ultimate. Almost every single ultimate of American Tornado was used, and more than half of the time been gone from Odyssey. But that pick onto Ultraviolet that I think Rhino got was enough to ward away American Tornado and let Odyssey actually play the game. So now we get to see the rest of the map. Thank you.
Thank you for letting us see the rest of the map. There's only a minute and 30 seconds to do it, Lemon. A loss at the end of Havana A here could lead to the full hold. Reiner is isolated away from multiple members of their team, but right now they're just looking to try and leverage this high ground to give Wub a safe area from which to operate.
Oh, that's scary. Ant Matrix, and there's a wall right behind Odyssey. Okay, let's see what they can do. So Blizzard to protect their tanks. False is trying to be aggro at an off angle. He gets punished, and Reiner gets batted in the face. So Odyssey will get to move on up and probably cap A from this. I don't think it's too close for it to be a recontest.
Small hero play from Vulcan as well. They identified Wub rolling onto this bus shelter, I think it is. This could be a blue advertisements thing. And knocked them into the blizzard when they didn't have a roll left and no capacity to escape, removing the main DPS threat of American Tornado from the game. And now Odyssey may be able to get a little bit more done here, but there is a lot of positioning supremacy that American Tornado have, and that's going to have to be dealt with. That's going to limit the options of this Deadeye.
See if Wub, and maybe they could even wait until the shield from Brino gets a little bit lower. They can have extra insurance to even guarantee more of a kill, but looks like the Deadeye from Dove is used so shortly. Not finding anyone, just zoning tools. American Tornado jump down. Wub channeling that Deadeye, and as the Rhines crash into each other, it finishes off Rhino, and the pins just fall down one by one after that, and they're going for staggers. American Tornado are not playing with their food on this one.
Vulcan here, how could they environmentally end it? Doesn't matter, Speedily will get that one. They don't want to play with him for long. I think they could have got a longer stagger here, especially considering that American Tornado have supremacy over the choke point right now, but maybe they're going to prioritize getting up on high ground. While they are up on high ground, Rhino has to worry about how little potential collateral damage their Earth Shatter can do. It won't get a Baptiste, who's currently up on this brewery. It won't get the McCree.
Again, American Tornado, they just engage first, but a great from Vulcan to get rid of that speedily Blizzard. And as maybe American Tornado were hoping to play off this Blizzard, Reiner and False get deleted. So that's kind of what happens when your front line crumbles like that. So Odyssey all smiles, though. They get at least halfway through to point B.
A man after my own heart there, Wub. In the darkest hour, when it's a 6 versus 1, you roll out of nowhere and flash fan their flag support. It's a trade, guys. I got one. American Tornado are going to be able to re-engage here, but Vulcan will be able to catch them early. OG is going to be able to scout that one out, so they're going to head through the bottom instead. This could make them quite easy to lock down, especially with a singular wall, but that will be broken through in no time at all.
See, it's gonna be a tale of at least one shatter. Rhino has it. Self-destruct as a distraction. Someone took it speedily. Didn't have ice block, didn't have immortality. That's maybe a flood for American Tornado, but let's see if they can play without him. Self-destruct. Maybe he saves Ryan or picks off Rack Attack. That's fine. Odyssey are in driver's seat. They have more than enough players to win this fight as long as they out-choke. And there's no ultimates from American Tornado that can turn this around. So Odyssey will be pushing through into point B.
An uncharacteristic dropping of a Linguini there from Speedly. You're absolutely right. So many defensive measures that Amay could use, and unfortunately none of them were available. Not even the speed boost and immortality field could save him from that fate. And for the first time, it feels in this tournament, Lemon, or at least in the first time you and I have been casting, we are going to see the third point of Havana. From Rhino, with this many targets available, if we can get some shield damage here, is going to be looking for a very big Earth Shatter, but gets nothing.
You were hoping for big, but you only got small, so Rhino not getting anything there. Rhino with the re-engage. I think a flashbang from Dub kind of stunned up a few people from American Tornado, and it's such a long road for the defense to get until you have any sort of safety. So once you go in, there's no getting out. American Tornado learned that lesson. Odyssey just winning these fights back to back.
Momentum very heavily in favor of Odyssey right now, and again, Speedly is uncharacteristic. He picked 3 times in a row. I was already going to complain. The self-destruct, then the Deadeye, and now the early poke. Speedly might be on tilt right now.
I'd be a little bit too, not gonna lie, but Odyssey, man, look at all the space they're taking up playing inside of point C. Keeping an eye on that right door too, but American Tornado are taking the high road, quite literally on top of them, and then they kill 2. Half of Odyssey were disengaging, and that's when your comms have to be so clear when you're playing Rush, because that shouldn't have happened.
That should definitely not have happened. American Tornado now, they managed to do that with no investment, Lemon. Stopping the momentum, getting this area of Havana essentially for free is a very, very bad omen for Odyssey. 40 seconds remain, and they might have to invest very, very heavily to even break through this area, and then they've got to deal with the staggers afterwards.
Little speedy Deadeye forces Odyssey to hide in the room, and now how are they gonna get out? You're looking at some shatters that could catch some people off guard. That's when you can't be making any positional mistakes. The Ant Matrix, self-destruct right on the other side, instantly headshots Vulcan. That self-destruct goes off the planet, so that's not gonna do anything. Speedily Blizzard, though, speaking value, found a lot. That's 2, and then you add the shatter on top. That's a pain sandwich Odyssey did not sign up for in the last few seconds. They're gonna wish they could take that one back, and even going for the pin on the Vulcan won't be able to touch. Odyssey only halfway to point C is all they'll get.
Still, this is a good distance, Lemon. This is a good distance for Havana. I think you're fairly happy with this. American Tornado, we haven't seen too much of their defense aside from first and second point here. Very consistently being able to stop those in their tracks. So this is the best performance we've seen against American Tornado on this map so far. And will Odyssey be able to match the aggression on the defense?
That's tough. I thought Odyssey had a good run too. I mean, it was back-to-back fight wins. As soon as they kind of stopped American Tornado from rolling them over all the time, and they finally went for some punishes, that's when things turned around at the start of point B. Fight after fight after fight, and then they made some mistakes. They got a little bit too confident, right? They almost started pushing those spawn room doors. I think it was King and somebody else got picked off just because American Tornado were on the high ground. Nothing even happened yet, and Odyssey lost 2. So that forced them to roll all the way back and lose all this momentum they had built up. So not really sure what happened in that moment, but we had both pointed out I don't think that was supposed to happen.
There have been a couple of question marks throughout this tournament, and well, question marks are good, Lemon, because they'll encourage people to try and find out more about these intriguing players in Tier 2 Overwatch in 2021. You should probably find out about that. Give it a Google, ladies and gentlemen. It's worth your time. American Tornado now going to have to try and bust out of the L Garage here. Gonna have to refuel this payload and get it moving. And to do so, Wub's on the flank. Could it be the flash fan? No fan. Sad champ.
I'm not expecting anyone to have eyes behind their head, but how was Wub just was so free back there? Yeah, I thought he would have gotten a pig for sure, but good punish, good reaction. Odyssey following up 6 versus 5. All you got to do is press W, hit a couple swings, and that's a dead American Tornado. Storm has been calmed, and Odyssey are chilling for now.
Odyssey have got to remain on top of this. I think that a lot of credit needs to be given to Vulcan again. I think Vulcan's one of the more cerebral off tanks we have. in North America did actually manage to get in Wub's way a significant amount when they were going on their flank. I don't see Wub right now, and they're having to check to the right to make sure they know where he is.
Oh, Dub, nice headshot. Finished off Ultraviolet, who was away from the shield. Now he's got a 1v1 against another fellow cowboy. Meanwhile, there's some business happening over an alleyway. So these fights are very split. I don't like that long-range pin from Rhino. That was very easily counterpinned by Reiner. And when you have more HP, you will live longer, Forehead. So American Tornado won this fight and can actually breathe a little bit and move on through.
Twice as fast, actually, as it was for the side of Odyssey. They took a long time to break out first, so it's going to give a little bit of a surplus to American Tornado as they try and complete Havana Point A, which is by no means easy. We're likely to see Odyssey rotate through the high ground here. It'll give a great staging area from which Dove and Luke Camino can stay in a safe area. Why are they going through main is the question.
They're just throwing a bunch of ults at Rhino's shield, and he's happy to take every single one. Self-destruct on the other side. Reiner has enough shield to block that. Immortality comes out from Ultraviolet. And Odyssey, eventually those shields are going to break, and everyone behind it was going to fall. So American Tornado, with that fight win, be able to get point A. I don't imagine there's a recontest.
Why did they opt out of the rotation while they would be running into a Deadeye? Is the question that I have. Odyssey dropping the ball a little bit there, in my opinion. And they are going to be losing point A off the back of that. American Tornado with 4:20 on the clock. A blazing fast time to try and get through B right now. They're claiming the space with a plonk.
Man, American Tornado are not messing around, but maybe they should slow down a little bit because they don't have Baptiste. It's a lot of healing gone. Lucio can only do so much. Salvaire did help a lot, buy some time, allow American Tornado to even disengage, but I think some of their tanks are a little bit too deep. So what? Oh, okay, that was his own teammate. I was like, how do you not get that pin? But either way, door is going to shut soon, and American Tornado are going to have to decide what to do next.
Rack attack assassination right there onto Wub helped to relieve the pressure a little bit, and Odyssey have been forced to retreat to the high ground now, but this will give them a little bit of a preferential engagement. Reiner for now will stand alone up there, but False is, as ever, ready to try and intercept any engagement. Rhino sees so many fruitful targets on the floor right now. This could be a huge slam, and there's it's blocked by the wall. Excellent play.
Well, if you have eyes, you could read that one from another universe, so Rhino gets punished from that. Immortality couldn't save him. Salvaire not going to save them. Odyssey might have a chance to not lose any more blood if they were to just back away, wait for Rhino to get back, but they're going to play off this Amp Matrix, and False is able to just fly away Forehead from it. American Tornado keep their shields up. They stabilize a little bit, and once the shield goes down, Rhino's going to attack with this Shatter soon.
Luke Mino under pressure. It's OG, the assassin, but they're joined by Rack Attack still. It feels like members of Odyssey are falling every which direction. The double damage coming out of a Peacekeeper. They've used the Immortality field as well, but it's not going to be worth anything as American Tornado continue to push the tide outwards towards the sea. We're going to head towards Point C and our beautiful beachscape here in Havana, Cuba for our final area.
Yeah, Wub making Rhino endangered after finding him in the closet like that. Nothing much you can run, but you can't hide. But this is a long stretch where Odyssey, just like American Tornado's mistake earlier, have to choose their engages. And they decided, well, we don't have to engage. We're actually going to go back to our shield comms that we're used to, and even with the soldier too, just for that consistent DPS. Wub channeling this, he's going to be met by a self-destruct right in his face. It's blocked by Reiner. Salvaire engaged from OG. Blizzard thrown at Odyssey, but also countered by King's own Blizzard, which slows down the entire rush composition of American Tornado. So as they are forced to keep at a distance, this is where the ranged DPS of Odyssey are going to take over and why they won this fight.
The fight or flight response has again been activated. There it is. The Orisa from Rhino. We know that they love to play it. And this is a pretty good area for the Orisa, to be fair. Double damage from that fusion driver is going to tear through Rhino's shield.
It's a good Maywall from Speedily, but I don't think they capitalize on it. Meanwhile, Reiner's getting pushed in by an Orisa of all things. So this is a struggle for American Tornado. They've lost support. They've lost Reiner. You just got to die on cart. Go next fight. You have 3 minutes. And that's a lot of tries. That's a lot of old cycles.
Against the Soldier 76 and an Orisa, Lyman, Reiner's shield is essentially made out of chocolate right now. It's just melting the second that it gets out into the sun. They've got the tactical visor, but Dove's likely just going to use that. If you see OG get a little bit frisky with his positioning, just allows you to farm up the Lucio for free. Otherwise, it would just decrease your DPS against tanks, so it wouldn't be advisable against the larger bulk of American Tornado.
And this is a smart move. As soon as you see that Orisa shield come down, you throw the self-destruct behind, force them forward. And American Tornado tried to push in off of that self-destruct, but didn't really get much out of it. And now you got a supercharger that's inside the room. American Tornado, goal number 1 is to go after that, but it's too little, too late. 50% more damage is gonna hurt. And American Tornado resetting again.
I can hear Reiner in comments right now. Why are they playing this cringe composition? The Orisa is undoubtedly powerful, and American Tornado are having a lot of trouble closing this distance right now. Even with the good usage of cover that they have available, there's just a lot of physical cover for Odyssey to play with as well. If they need it, they have the sound barrier, but King's going in deep and has placed down the Blizzard.
That's a free Blizzard too, especially falls on the Zarya now, so that should freeze up a bunch. American Tornado don't have any tanks, and like we said before, everybody else just dies after that. There is no running, especially from all the range of Dove and Rhino that can shoot while American Tornado are running. There's just no saving that fight.
Time to raise my APM.
Absolutely true. American Tornado, they finally have maybe a saving, a coup de grace in the Blizzard from Speedly, but they still have to weave it past Vulcan, and freezing up Vulcan's going to be quite difficult with the stationary Orisa shield. That's a charge from Reiner. It forces out the wall. That could be a little bit of a bonus for them. Speedly wants to freeze that Diva. You know what comes after that goes down?
A Blizzard, a Sound Barrier, Amp Matrix, and everything but the kitchen sink from American Tornado collapsing onto Odyssey and Supercharger. It don't matter when everyone's dead and they can't use it. There's that box of victory, and American Tornado will be on the board, but Odyssey's still up 2-1.
It is an advantage for Odyssey, but we have seen American Tornado be able to win out with this Reinhardt composition, which is incredibly important. The thing is, Lemon, this is the map where Sigma gets subbed out. Sigma was trouble. Sigma was peril on the previous Oasis, and even the greatest of DPS players that we see on American Tornado were not able to effectively contain and control them. So there still needs to be a significant amount of doubt in people's minds as to whether this can continue into a winning streak for American Tornado.
That was tough to watch for American Tornado. They just kept throwing spaghetti at a wall and hoping something was gonna fix, and we were all sweating, in the caster booth of like, Reiner just got his charge blocked. He's probably gonna get blown up, but they got close enough. They collected enough ults that everyone just pressed Q at once. The Sound Barrier, the Blizzard, the Shatter, like you name it. American Tornado dropped it, and the Supercharger really only worked if they could get the damage in before American Tornado got close enough, and that was the winning condition. American Tornado getting close enough, and they did. Maybe getting closer to a dub. They still have to kind of get one more map win before they could tie the series, but we're at our halfway mark. 2-1 for Odyssey. We'll find out after this break where Odyssey want to go next.
Who is this Mayhem Spring Classic team?
All right, soldiers, today we decide. Are we gonna run and hide, or are we going to fight? They think it's over. Well, they got another thing coming. Because today, we're going big!
Introducing Zaxby's new signature sandwich with a double hand-breaded filet, split top bun, and Zax sauce, our new spicy Zax sauce. Only at Zaxby's. Order ahead, drive through, or get it delivered.
Leveling up with Gift of Life is the easiest way to save a life. Go to levelupforlife.org. Answer a few questions, wait patiently, open your kit, swab that cheek, put it back in the mailbox, done. So what are you waiting for? Level up for life now.
It is Susano!
A sleep paralysis demon at the foot of your bed has returned, and it looks a lot like a tracer. Sigma's back in. That much I can tell you, as we're going to be heading over to our hybrid map next, and is going to be one we've seen from Odyssey before in this tournament. We're going to Eichenwald, Lemon.
I know, right? What? There's other hybrid maps other than King's Row? How dare they?
Today I learned.
But this is totally par for the course when it comes to Odyssey. They chose this map against dark mode. They have a lot of success on this map. Their composition they ran last time was the Hammond, Zarya, Ashe, Tracer, Brigitte, Zenyatta. So a bit of a different approach, really going for a full kind of ish dive, playing off of Sigma, but at least Rhino is there with them, so it's not just Sigma having to 1v6, you know?
Yeah, I think that synergy between the Wrecking Ball and Tracer is something that was incredibly valuable towards late 2020 when we were looking at how effective teams could be, especially during the Gauntlet. And for a lot of teams, that synergy has remained. However, I think that Sigma's a little bit of a newer addition to Odyssey. We haven't had as much time to play with Rhino. And I think that the synergy Sigma currently has with Odyssey is what I mentioned on Oasis, which is their ability to disengage into the zone of influence of their supports to make sure that it was much harder to hunt them when they didn't have the recall available, and allow them to take fights with a numerical advantage in terms of personnel when they didn't have the ability advantage for recall offered.
And how the turns have tabled when we talk to OG, who are like, oh, we don't care about Sigma, we don't care about Odyssey, we're going to do our thing. And then OG had to swap to Brigitte because just to kind of help Ultraviolet out a little bit. Babysit's a bit of a stretch because Ultraviolet can definitely hold his own, but Sigma was just becoming so much of a threat that you needed kind of multiple layers of CC. Wub was just not enough on the McCree, and no shade on this McCree, I think Wub is incredible, but Odyssey knew that all they had to do was kill Wub, and people like King, people like Sigma, whoever would be so free, because Wub was kind of the issue. Speedily, you know, was trying to keep up with Sigma in the 1v1 Tracer, but there was no clear difference. Like, Sigma was still allowed to go free eventually to go pull someone like OG or Ultraviolet.
And the thing is, Sigma provides such a threat that you tend to forget that Odyssey have a bunch of top-tier DPS on that team as well. They have King and Dove, and Dove's going to be in still for Eichenwald. There's no guess as to why. They're going to be playing the Ashe, I imagine, on that second point of Eichenwald, using those sheer high grounds to have a commanding advantage on the defense and be able to soften targets up very effectively for Sigma or Rhino to clean them up. And it's also incredibly impressive how Sigma can do all of this magic with the Tracer while also being on incredibly high ping from South Korea. And that means that they are very much in the head of their enemies. They're able to preempt a flashbang. They're able to preempt the shield bash and move essentially in the future to avoid them.
And no, nothing like they are saying is funny. I'm smiling because Luke Camino's dropping some spice in all chat of just, yeah, I'll play BAP. I don't care if I am going to be a one trigger, call me whatever. And he said, quote unquote, victory will just be that sweeter. And you know what? I'm going to give myself permission to leak what was in all chat because that was spicy. And it just makes this match even more exciting. Odyssey have only lost maps when Sigma was not in, but Sigma is in, and it's alongside Dove. This is Odyssey's choice of map after American Tornado won the previous one. So, ooh, I'm so excited. I love Overwatch when there's some spicy talk.
Well, now you know, ladies and gentlemen, the only spice here isn't just the new spicy sauce on the Zaxby's new chicken sandwich.
Oh, nice.
It is, of course. Luke Mino sending it in all chat as well. Odyssey with the advantage, 2-1 for first to 4 series. This could put them on match point if they are successful. Sigma is back in. American Tornado are going to have to face that sleep paralysis demon again until they've got some medication this time.
Oh god, you're gonna need it. I don't know. Sigma gonna be putting people to sleep for sure, no doubt. And he's so consistent too. He's not just your hot and cold player that kills 3 and then like ints his brains out the rest of the map. There's some players like that have these streaks, but Sigma's just consistently good. And the fact that he does that on high ping, you know, we sing his praises all the time, but guys, he's kind of smurfing. But I want to see Speedily step up to that, because if there's anyone that can take down Sigma, it's Speedily. But right now, American Tornado are hovering on the Rush and having Speedily on the May this time.
The May is interesting. The May is actually quite good against the Tracer in that a singular headshot from across the map, because May doesn't suffer from damage drop-off, can actually just put the Tracer in the grave. It will do 150 damage, equal to the health pool. That's already an engage, and it's not adequately shielded by Rhino, so that's going to give a fair amount of ultimate charge over to Rhino.
Yeah, Odyssey are totally fine not fighting for as long as it takes, of course, because they're defending, but also they want to give Vulcan as much energy as possible. So these kind of minor engages that Rhino are doing are just giving energy over to Vulcan, and he wants to become the third DPS. But American Tornado, they want to tango, and Reiner just, I think, hit that mech with his charge. Either way, looks like it's pretty even up. Sigma and Vulcan down for Odyssey. OG, the only one missing for American Tornado. They got a tick, looking for the second. Somebody was contesting, and Odyssey got zoned off their own point, so I have no idea how they're going to retake this one.
Stun one, headshot the other. Okay, well, that's a little bit of class on the McCree right there. Mwah, a bit of je ne sais quoi from you, Cowboy. Dove, as predicted, is going to be on the Ash, and taking advantage of these sheer high grounds here is going to be the name of the game. Rack Attack's going to move over onto the Mercy to make them all the more deadly. Remember, though, that Ash no longer hits those 200 HP breakpoints with a damage-boosted headshot as of a couple of patches ago, so that won't be quite as dangerous for OG and Ultraviolet.
Let's see, maybe Ash has a little bit better range, and you don't need the flashbang because there's no Tracer or any flanker to annoy you. So I like this choice from Dove. Of course, the coach gun underrated in terms of getting back onto high grounds or getting up. Looks like Rhino somehow picks off Ultraviolet. He's behind them, and no one's doing anything about it. How did Rhino just go and kill your supports? American Tornado apparently put to sleep already.
American Tornado got caught out, kind of half personneled, I believe, in their attempt to try and push out through the top. They know that they can't really sit on this cart at the bottom, because Dove and Luke Mina will tear them apart easily, and then Sigma and Rhino will grab anyone who they find low on health. Sigma's going to be able to escape quite easily here, and thanks to the wall cover that's provided by Speedily, they are going to get a little bit of cart push. Once this is successfully pushed up a little bit further, I imagine they're going to try and push through the castle itself.
Oh, shield's about to break from Reiner. He's got the Blizzard to protect him if anyone from Odyssey were to drop, but they thought Odyssey were going to drop, and nobody did. It was just the bomb thrown from Dove to tickle him a little bit again. I don't know, but American Tornado are halfway towards B, so Odyssey will eventually have to drop if they want to stop this cart from moving.
Speedily for now, trying to keep Sigma cowed. Vulcan gets a nice grab right there. It boots off the edge. Oh, they give him a nasty end of it by OG. They don't get credit for the kill, but you know what? It's okay. It's the results that count. They had the Sambayer up anyway. Luke Mino's in the back, damage boosted now on the Zen. A little bit of a guerrilla warlord back here.
Yeah, it's so sketchy to play on this bridge, and Vulcan learned that lesson the hard way. Goes back to the Diva, because he's like, all right, these 2 3-second boosters will save me next time, right? But Speedily's already trying to freeze some people. He's in ice block form. Reiner's trying to protect his backline. Wub is, I guess, getting pounced on by a Mercy? I don't know, this is some crazy stuff. I don't know what's happening, but that's kind of the flavor you get when you cast Odyssey sometimes.
It's gone full wacky. We've gone to Toontown, and it wasn't a return ticket. Reiner, what are you going to do with this slam, buddy? Getting Luke Mino into your sides, that's a guaranteed solo slam, in my opinion. Maybe even Rhino on their initial engagement. That's a nice block there on the Dynamite, so Dove's going to be lacking in the generation of ult charge they needed for that Bob. It's going to be a mid-match Bob instead, as Luke Mino is going to find themselves a very safe location to just hang out.
Yeah, American Tornado just don't want to, I would say they don't want to play on that bridge, but it looks like they're able to get away. Pulse throw, no stick, bit of damage, deals with the immortality. American Tornado cannot rely on this, but a shatter onto the rack attack and the Ash, so you take that. Again, you don't need a 6-man slam to get value, and that's a stalling.
Use for trance, Luke, said nobody ever. Oh, that's unfortunate. It might be a contest here. Oh, yeah. For anyone else, that's not a joke. That is a completely legally distinct sentence that I just made up by myself. Right here with a double slam, getting exactly what was needed, taking them out. Good sense of mind there from Rhino, knowing that you aren't going to get a huge slam here. Getting 1 or 2 people with that was more than enough.
Ooh, we got an honest swap. Maybe a little nano boost coming. Oh my god. Well, he got blown up, so goodbye, Luke. Again. Just gets killed twice out of the spawn room door. So, American Tornado. Meanwhile, there's this happening. Rhino trying to spawn camp Wub. American Tornado are being contested on the cart right now, and all Rhino has to do is swing for the fences. Odyssey are down 2 for the final fight coming up.
Yeah, this is a really good area for Reinhardt to try and take charge. Now they're able to, frankly, bully Vulcan. Rhino lets loose now. Need to try and avoid this with the Valkyrie, and it seems like Rakitak's going to be able to do that, but they will lose both their Diva Mech and their Wrecking Ball to this. No one goes down to the self-destruct. Rhino finds himself within an immortality field, and Sigma's going to be turned into British jam on the sides as Dove is roasted by Rhino. This might be the end for the Odyssey defense right here as a big slam is delivered.
Dove killed 2, or 1, or I thought it was 2, but still American Tornado don't seem to be hurt whatsoever. They might have to deal with the Bob. Ice Block is out for Speedily. American Tornado just 1 more meter to go, and Odyssey have respawn advantage, but they do not have a lot of wind left in these sails, and no ultimates to do it. They're swapping to the heroes that can get back faster, the Moira, Lucio, you name it, but at this point, you're just trying to take time away, because this one is in the bag for American Tornado.
This might still work. Vulcan slammed down, and the same can be said of Rhino with a pile driver right there. Getting knocked up into the air, and they aren't killing people quick enough. Up into the air is for self-destruct, and Luke Mino is going to be the victim of that one. American Tornado will set quite the blistering pace. Almost 2 minutes left in their bank, and we've talked about this before, Lemon. This means if Odyssey have to complete the map in overtime, there won't be a second chance.
Yeah, that was really good from him. I want to use one of your lines from King's Road. That was nice. That was a nice push. 2 minutes is a really good time, Meg. I know you're kind of an overachiever and you're like, why not 5 minutes? Why not, just crush them, boom their mental like American Tornado like to do. But I think once they got over that hump, which was Bridgeside, then it was all, coast was clear after that. Once they kind of realized that, okay, Rhino, you can't just let him live in your backline because that time he killed OG and Ultraviolet for free. American Tornado realized, okay, can't count him out. Gotta deal with them. When you do, then you go on after that. And even when Vulcan had a Grav, he actually got booped off. And I think Odyssey lost the fight they had Grav in. So American Tornado, man, they pull out these wins when you don't expect it.
They got a quite nice Grav. I think it had 3 people inside it, but 2 of them were Rhino and False. And one of the things about Gravs is that when it drags everyone's hitboxes together, the bigger ones like the Reinhardt and the Diva can often obfuscate the succulent, squishy center that you really want to try and destroy first. And that was to American Tornado's advantage in that particular Graviton, and then Vulcan on the disengage just got caught, like you said. I want to see very aggressive plays here from American Tornado. There is the chance that maybe Sigma and Rhino could start to get some backcap prowess onto them, but Rakitak and Luke Mina, they have to be very, very careful here because they're going to get run into with this Moira composition.
Yeah, Odyssey's comp is just way less forgivable. If Sigma makes a wrong move, runs into a flashbang, he's dead, and that's it. Same thing with Rhino, and stuff like that is going to happen. So you got to be careful. American Tornado 6 versus 5. See how they can defend this. Odyssey snuck away with a tick despite only killing 1 person, so there's kind of a ring around the rosy, and that's a great wall that came up to confirm that charge from Reiner to take out Rhino, and now Odyssey are gone.
Oh, not the greatest hit there from Wub, and it seems like Rhino and Sigma are moving as a duo towards the point to allow for twice as much cap progress in the allotted time, while American Tornado were trying to chase down the more vulnerable back line of Odyssey. Rakitak's actually claimed Luke Mino's precious bat here to try and give a little bit more survivability on the engage using that immortality field, and here comes Sigma. I want a tick, thank you.
Coalescence to keep this rush up, and that's more than enough resources, and the damage of Coalescence is also really undervalued. Can really access heroes that otherwise can just fly away, and you can beam them down. That's really satisfying. My Moira players will know what's up, although Ultraviolet just got pulsed when I was hyping him up, so good job from Sigma also identifying he didn't have the fade cooldown, which would have dropped the pulse bomb, and Odyssey are still only left with the 1 tick.
You can see that Wub was very worried about the possibility of a spawn camp when you're up against a Wrecking Ball and a Tracer. That can very much be something that needs to be considered. Luke Mina has now moved over onto the Lucio. It's a little bit of a ring around the rosy when it comes to Odyssey's hero pool. Perhaps a moment of panic here as Sigma goes down.
Reiner's like literally on fire and he just doesn't stop swinging, but you might have to deal with this Bob first. He charges into it, I think, and tries to kill it. And wait, I don't think he wanted that. Wait, go back. Okay, it's one swing away. They delayed that. American Tornado are low, and I think that's when Dub found one final shot. They did manage to avoid most of the mines from Rhino. But with the maybe 1, 2, 3 picks that Dove got, Odyssey could be trying to race back, but that looks like this fight could be over. American Tornado should be able to hold.
Speedley's moved over onto the Doomfist as well to return quickly, and you know that they're going to be dangerous on the re-engage. Still, Luke Mino's already gone. It felt like a fight happened, but I don't think I saw it.
There's a solo slam to the guy who typed in all chat, so I think Reiner, he likes to make these statements in these matches, and I'm
Luke Vino does not have an illustrious competitive history on the Lucio. I'll just put it that way. There are a lot of very high-def matchups for Luke Vino on the Lucio in the competitive portfolio of NA contenders.
It was Speedley's on Doomfist, so I'm a little bit concerned. I'm a little bit worried. I don't know how long Odyssey's going to live through it. But I would have liked to see False, once he gets the self-destruct over with, maybe go to the Zarya like you're used to, give Speedly some bubbles. But there is no CC from Odyssey that Speedly have to worry about. So does this force Dove onto McCree? Does this force Rack Attack on the Brick? We'll find out.
And one of the crucial things we have to focus on here is that Sigma is no longer tearing through American Tornado just like on Oasis. They seem to have had a good idea of how they're going to deal with the remainder of Odyssey, while also keeping in mind Sigma's need to be respected as a very dangerous tracer. Sigma's coming from a front now, playing more of a bruiser sort of style.
And you pulse a Doomfist? Like, he could just uppercut away. That seems different. Oh, well, speaking of things that are easy to do, just grabbing a wall, I would like people in it, preferably, but 20 seconds left for Odyssey to literally get anything done on this map, and it's looking pretty likely. It trades back and forth, couple people on the point, but now you got a team with a sound bear rushing into you. That's a little bit sketchy. At least Reiner isn't here, so you don't have to worry too much. Odyssey, looks like they've done enough, but here comes the rest of American Tornado.
Reiner's about to try and touch that point, is going to at least be able to contest it. Wub could be able to come back here with a Deadeye, but it doesn't matter. They've already been put on the floor by Rhino. Oh, it's a fadeaway fire strike. Barely even saw the May, but did enough. Wub sent up to the edge for the free space program, and boy, we're going all the way to the moon. Diamond hands, baby.
Man, he just flew. I don't know what happened there, but that also was not great. Odyssey, it took till the very last second to get the point. American Tornado did it much, much quicker. So already at a time disadvantage, Odyssey are just going to have to pull out all the punches to just sail through this point B if they want to keep this close.
Oh, please, for John Cena slam. I know it's the most easily blockable thing in the world, but I love a good meme. Sigma right now checks. They haven't gone for the slam downwards, and Sigma's gonna steal that health back away. Ultraviolet's gonna be taken down, Lemon.
No one's looking at Sigma. He has a pulse bomb. Okay, he just threw in the middle of 6 people. That'll damage. Oh, yeah, gets him below 50%, and he's looking for the finish in front of a Reinhardt hammer. That's when you know this guy has the confidence to do it all. But American Tornado looks like they're holding up. They're clumping up to make sure Sigma can't take anyone out, and he still finds kills. Sigma is still alive. He's going in. He has 80 HP, and his team is keeping him up. American Tornado dismantled and sent away.
Sigma just lives for so long, playing around their cooldowns incredibly well, and like we talked about before, playing in their support zone of influence, making sure they were continually unable to be isolated, and being able to distract Ultraviolet, and maybe even calling out to Rhino, this guy's real low, strike big pack or something. I'm not sure how effective the communications are. Rhino going over the other side. Okay, it's a quick engage.
You can hear that charge sound cue, though, from like a mile away. So obviously they knew this push was coming through Castle. Wanted to get there a little bit quicker. Vulcan getting close to self-destruct. You're just going to need it for a second life because a blizzard and a self-destruct is coming your way. And this is going to blow away the competition. Odyssey's tanks destroyed. Dub and Rack Attack gone. An American Tornado winning this defensive fight with 35 seconds left for Odyssey.
Line him up and knock him down. That was a beautiful fire strike there from Rhino, but everyone was just grouped up from the consistent control that was exerted on them by American Tornado with the self-destruct, with the boops, with the blizzard as well. Sigma's got their special sauce. They've got the pulse bomb available here, and that could force out an early usage of the immortality field from Ultraviolet, but it's already been used. Once that pulse bomb is delivered, if it sticks, there's no second chance.
Oh, both shatters were blocked. That was so stressful. Both sounders engaged. But looks like Reiner is the first to fall. 6 versus 5 for this offense, and now Odyssey have to take this fight right on the cart, and they cannot leave it. Someone like Vulcan should be able to dive people like Wub and deny the Deadeye. It should have not killed 2 people like that. And because of that play from Wub at an off angle, American Tornado will be winning this defensive fight, winning this map, and tying up the series 2-2.
That was unfortunately a peeling misstep from Vulcan there. They knew that they could eat up the damage from the Deadeye, but they actually booped for McCree so that he was in midair when he shot, and that meant that 2 of those shots actually weaved under the defense matrix that was being given by the Diva. So maybe Vulcan there could have forced that a little bit more onto the McCree itself rather than just as a defensive measure for their own dive. But still, I think that Vulcan has done a good amount of peeling throughout this series. It was just a singular misplay that American Tornado have won a map where Sigma is in, and that's something that they needed to do if they want to walk away with first place in this tournament.
Oh boy, 2-2, game 5. A different scenario though, because it is first to 4 in our grand finals. Yes, you guys get more Overwatch. I'm totally here for it. We will be going into Assault though, which is a different map rotation than the rest of the tournament. I know, yay, no 2CP, but this time we get to play it, and we'll see how much scrim time both these teams have gotten on these Assault maps, because we've been hearing, a little bit from AT that they've been scrimming less than maybe other teams have, but I mean, clearly it shows that they haven't lost their magic touch, I guess.
Yeah, it feels like these teams are still on their form, right? And Odyssey, I think, has come back stronger than maybe they were before. I wondered if in a more Reinhardt-centric meta, they were going to remain a relevant team when Rhino and Vulcan as a tank duo were so well famed for their double shield. But I think that they're working incredibly well with their new DPS pickup, and they've still got Mouthful in the back pocket as well if they need a little bit of special sauce. I think we saw Mouthful come in earlier on a King's Row to play some Doomfist, which could be interesting if we go a little bit later into the series. We go back to a hybrid map, and there's a King's Row. Mouthful could be something a little bit new to deal with.
And we were surprised to see that Speedily's Doomfist, although he didn't have a Zarya and there was no CC to stop him, he still gets pulsed and he still got harassed by Sigma enough that I think he ended up swapping. There was a lot of changes from American Tornado, compositionally speaking, and you had brought up an important point that this is the only team in this tournament that can make American Tornado sweat and rethink their strategies. And hey, you take that hit to the ego because you want to win, and that's all that matters. And you know how much Reiner wants to win when he solo slams Luke Mino. That's always funny to watch.
Yeah, we love to see those solo slams. We love to see the message sent and the message received by Odyssey as well. Going over to Assault, I believe that the map we have chosen is Volskaya Industries, which is very interesting because Dove is staying in and Sigma is staying in as well. So the question is, how high ground intensive is the Odyssey defense going to be? I expect on point A that a well-placed Ashe here could be a real pain to deal with, especially when Sigma tries to corral you during your rotations. But American Tornado, they've just managed to beat the Odyssey shenanigans while playing Rush. So maybe they'll just stick with playing that until Odyssey can slap them back again and be like, okay, we figured out how to play the Rush, now it's your turn. And it's the back and forth, which is making this series so compelling, as now we're tied up at 2-2. The initial winner's bracket advantage that was ceded over to Odyssey has disappeared.
And this is such a rock, paper, scissors meta where, you might expect the Tracer v Tracer of Speedily and Sigma, maybe. But Speedily's also went towards the May match with Wub's McCree, and they just decided we don't care about Sigma. He can't kill all of us if we're all clumped together. And we've seen that also be sort of false at some points. And speaking of that, but also, I think Dove is the one where rock, paper, scissors is where I was getting at with my point of Dove. He's either going to go McCree or he's either going to go Ashe. I think he goes McCree if Speedily goes Tracer or Doomfist. And if he doesn't, then you stick to the Ashe. If no one's going to come harass you, you stick to the Ashe. But I think it'll be important for Dove to have the McCree just in case.
Yeah, I think that there's a lack of harass right now in American Tornado's plan because they aren't really opting into these highly mobile flank characters. Speedly will occasionally go for the Doomfist, but we're not seeing Speedly opt into the Tracer. We're not seeing the Genji of all things. Gotta wait for the next patch to see a little bit more Genji. When the right click becomes a little bit more deadly. I do like watching some Genji. I wouldn't mind him returning to the meta. However, he does farm my ranked games. Sad champ.
No. Farms my vocal cords. Every time I cast a Genji meta, he always kills 6, and I'm like, I have to scream. And then, yeah, I like metas like this where it's nice and chill. It's a little bit of back and forth, not 6Ks all at once. Although when you're casting Sigma, you never know what to get. So we'll see what the meta looks like when we go on live patch.
What I'm interested with here, if Odyssey continue to play the composition that they're currently hovering in the attacker spawn, is where Luke Mino positions. American Tornado here, they could just hide in one of the side rooms with this Reinhardt. There's no reason for them to really hold back here too much when they have the ability to have a much stronger engagement, and they don't have to really cover that much ground to do it if they're holding up a little bit more aggressively. Luke Mino here could be in deep trouble, and we might even see Rakatank have to swap over again onto a Baptiste to give a little bit more peeling prowess.
I like that Ultraviolet's just already on the Moira. We saw this on Eichenwald, and this is just because you have more mobility and escapability if Sigma comes in for a tickle. We don't like that, so we get to fade away and hopefully buy yourself time for the rest of the team to turn around and look at Sigma. That's all you need, because obviously the Baptiste, immortality is great, can be shot by the Tracer. So we'll see. And also the Coalesce is going to help with this rush pressure. American Tornado just defending right on the point, where Sigma just gets to squeak by, hopefully trying to go unnoticed. But American Tornado now taking shelter in the Mega Pack room.
AT have backed off here and it allowed them access. It allowed Luke Mino to get to a safe area. The same can be said of Dove right now. No one can really touch him unless a good shot is hit by Speedly. Sigma forced to use that recall, and that will be a little bit more calmly hanging out in the back until it's time to make a tactical insertion and get rid of Reiner. The rest of American Tornado are going to just take under the heel.
Yeah, you're right. Sigma just hides in the shadows, and as soon as the rest of the team get everyone low enough, he comes in for the executes, takes all the credit, looks great on the kill feed, but that was just American Tornado putting themselves in a tiny room and then just getting pressured out. That kind of didn't play rush at all. He just played hide. We'll see what Odyssey can do now on point B.
I thought I was big silly when I suggested that they needed to take a faster engagement, but American Tornado, they're allowing themselves to be surrounded here, and I feel like they could have used their speed a little bit better. Odyssey are likely to win this fight. They've almost got 6 ultimates ready to go. Bob's already on the point, and everyone else is as well.
That's a yeet. That's a yeet that American Tornado were not ready for. And quite courageous to throw a Blizzard that far when there's a Diva on the other side, but that Blizzard got 0 value, and that's a swap. Speedily be back on the Tracer. And American Tornado, meanwhile, don't want to take really any engagement, but it's a little bit too late when Wub gets dove by Vulcan, and he leaves his self-destruct behind, so American Tornado kind of caught with their pants down. I don't love the sound barrier. Wub's not here yet, but maybe Speedily's enough. And now that Reiner's dead, this is not looking good. It's a bit of panic mode.
They might not want to take the engagement, but I've never heard of a pacifist rush working out. Sigma caught with their pants down by Wub, and OG still remains, so there's still a chance here for American Tornado to make this work. Rhino's going to get a bit of burst healing from the Mega Pack, but Luke Mino's got the damage boost. You can see that they're investing it all in their flex support. It's orb after orb, destruction after destruction, and tick after tick. 4 minutes and 41 seconds. American Tornado forgot to fight.
Yeah, that was a bit of a reverse no you. Odyssey also Luke Mino on fire on the Zenyatta. You guys saw him fragging out. I saw it too. I have eyes. The kill feed was lighting up, and Luke Mino proving he doesn't just play the Baptiste. Yeah, you can solo shatter me. I'll swap and then beam your team. And I like to see that. 4.5 minutes is so much time for Odyssey on an assault map. So I'm hoping American Tornado can do just as well, because that defense was all types of question mark.
They might as well have mirrored.
Yeah.
I don't understand what they got out of the Reinhardt. I don't understand what they got out of the Moira. I don't understand what they got out of the Lucio. Like, they didn't use the inherent advantages for each of these characters present. And you brought up the point in our pre-game, Lemon. How much have these teams been scrimming Volskaya? Maybe American Tornado haven't been scrimming it a huge amount. We did say that, like, over the course of the break, they've been doing maybe 1 block a day. And I admire that, a good work-life balance. But I don't think they're extracting the value from those characters in the way that they should be. And they probably should have just mirrored to try and take advantage of their mechanical skill.
I think that was tough. American Tornado, yeah, they hit a lot on their defense. I think they were maybe just also playing for Coalescence. You can do that. You get that really quickly. The only issue is that they didn't really take a lot of poke damage. They just all died at once. So there wasn't room for Cole. And there really wasn't room for anything because they got literally divided and conquered on point B. So hopefully they fix up these mistakes. They're back to their rush. Same Moira, Ultraviolet. Thought about the Baptiste. Sticks to the Moira. Needs that fade to escape away.
Well, we're going to be able to take advantage here of the mega health pack. Oh no, they're actually going to go through the high ground. They're just jostling for position right now. Question is, will American Tornado eventually make a good engagement? They're actually hit upon first here by Rhino, and again, the rush composition is getting touched first.
Yeah, Sigma's just weaving in and out, hoping to go unnoticed, and he mostly is, but one fatal mistake is just the end. So Tracer is so squishy, but they picked up Ultraviolet, and this is even after the fade was used, so they must have called this out. All collapse on that, and Wub also doesn't have a lot of mobility on the McCree, so he's next on the hit list, and with everyone from American Tornado falling after that, it's an easy defense fight win for Odyssey, and is that a tick?
It's swaps time. It is a tick indeed.
And it's a tick.
Odyssey were quite patient in how they took their engage there, and they gave away a tick to do it, but one tick isn't too much to worry about, especially when you've got 4 minutes and 30 minute time back. Like, you don't have to worry about giving away too much progress on the first point. And now American Tornado have realized that their rush composition really isn't getting much use here, and they're going to go to something a little bit closer to a mirror. The main difference is being a Brigitte being present to try and deal with Sigma, and they're going to have a McCree as well instead of an Ashe.
Sigma's like, okay, I can take this Hammond on, but wait, they're speedily there too? Whoa, 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 whoa. But he's got a pulse bomb, so he knows some people are climbing up there. He can come from behind, maybe pulse the support, but Sigma's also choosing his engagements very carefully. Wants to only engage when they don't know he's there. So that's why he didn't go for the pulse there, but American Tornado approaching the point slowly, making sure not to make any mistakes, starting to gather that second tick. Divas are dueling out. Spearly's there with the assist, but they also need to access Dub before he gets that Bob online.
Right, they're falling low right now, and we're going to try and channel. This is a very fast Deadeye, and Rack Attack falls victim to it. The only person you can't res is yourself, and Ultraviolet's going to strike through as well. This is what I wanted to see, the mirrored compositions, Lemon. Just use the guns, shoot them.
The gospel from leg day, just shoot them forehead. Meanwhile, you got a self-destruct. Speedo's like, okay, I'm just gonna blink away. And that's the second take from American Tornado. It's Odyssey, you know, you gotta die, you gotta touch. You gotta pick one. And I think Vulcan is there, instantly bursted down. Maybe Rhino's hanging around. But whatever Odyssey are doing, maybe not going to win this fight, but man, did you take a lot of time away from American Tornado, but this is looking slightly winnable. Sigma even gets shield bash, but nobody turned around to deal with them. American Tornado with the rally, now losing complete control of the situation, not even on the objective anymore. This is looking pretty scary.
Even if Odyssey lose this fight, forcing both those support ultimates is a huge boon. Wub hits the flashbang, they hit the headshot too with the help of Ultraviolet, and that's the main threat down. But their time bank is still ebbing away, Lemon. Little by little, it's trickled into nothingness. The minefield is put down on the point, and that's going to limit the mobility here, but he might still be able to chase down Rhino.
He's 1 HP. He's 1 HP. Rhino lives. I don't know, he got a health pack.
He's an endangered species.
Apparently, but I don't know if he's going to get out scot-free this time. Odyssey finally lose this fight. I mean, American Tornado held on to everything, but they only have 25 seconds left, and they're still not done, man. And they have to use ultimates like a self-destruct just to hang around and confirm point A. This is all types of question mark.
This is American Tornado eventually getting it to work. It looks better than the rush, but it does not look good. Rack Attack stays on the map, only to die this time, but we'll get a very quick respawn and a very quick reset, and I'm interested in that Odyssey have now decided to go for what was mostly popularized by the Houston Outlaws in 2020 is rush support. This is all about taking very, very quick engagements and overwhelming a vulnerable Zenyatta. You don't want to take a long fight with this composition.
Yeah, if you keep messing with Dove, he's gonna have another Dynamite and another Bob online. And that's gonna be dangerous because that'll just stall out the point. This is gonna confuse American Tornado. It's a stick onto a tank, and the finish. Vulcan is demech. This is the go side for American Tornado, and go they shall. Go right towards the point. That's Ultraviolet, Transcendent, and a rally from OG. They have all the resources, but they need to match that with the damage. Finish off these kills, and they're doing that Lost Wub, and that's Sigma sneaking into the back. They gotta be careful now because missing Wub, and now Ultraviolet makes this fight really losable for American Tornado.
This is so much more difficult now. No Discord orb to try and focus down people. Hid within the cardboard box as a mini pack, and that's going to keep Sigma going for a little while longer. Go in, look for the stick. It might connect, it might not, and no, it hits the ground, but OG is going to be catching some Fists of Fury anyway. It's going to be Luke Mino who claims this one in the end. An American Tornado have ran out of steam. And it's all because of that kill on Ultraviolet. What a well-targeted dive from Odyssey in the midst of a panic.
I was panicking. I think American Tornado are just a little bit on the stubborn side too, because they're not a team that's going to reset as soon as, you know, they're 3 versus 6 or 4 versus 6. They kind of always think it's winnable until they're actually all dead, which is costing them a lot of time. I mean, look, 4:31 for Odyssey, only 1:20 left to cap.
They haven't clocked Sigma just yet, but they are going to be quite quick on making sure that they don't get any purchase from their engagement. Odyssey going to be hanging back a little bit further. We're getting picked early, means that it might be time to go.
Oh, passing right on the Ultraviolet OG. He's on the Brigida for a reason, and what a stick from Speedily to finish off Rhino. And again, 6 versus 5, or at least now that Rhino's finished off, it's not looking too good for American Tornado. As long as False gets back in the mech, hopefully it's fine, but mine's on the point. Last little present from Reiner, but American Tornado still don't have the clear road to success, to victory. 42 seconds left, and they're about to lose the fight. And picks, these are fine, but American Tornado are just not ready to go until False is back.
It's still the same assault that you know and love. They're spawning so close. Now you've got to burrow your way through these mines like a mole that's trying to get underground. Wub sends in the dynamite, but they haven't really got too much off of it so far. The rally's going to make sure that Odyssey are reinforced and hardy in the face of danger, as Speedily desperately claws to try and get themselves access to a pulse bomb.
American Tornado climbing to this point, but have lost Wub on the journey there, and Speedily might have recalled, but their supports got pounced on by Rhino. Odyssey, man, with a 4:31 finish and an even better hold on point A, the fuller hold on point B. It's Odyssey going to series point 3-2 against American Tornado in our grand finals.
They understood their strengths and they played them well, and I'll tell you what, Luke Mino's future as a Lucio is starting to look up in the competitive sphere. I know that he wins it constantly on the ladder, but it hadn't been too exciting thus far in official matches. This time around, however, I'm very happy to say that they were managing those engagements incredibly well. And one of the question marks I had for Odyssey at the beginning of this is, how is their synergy on these dives? Is it just about how Sigma plays around the team, or is it how the team plays with Sigma? And given what we saw just there, I feel like their engagements are very clean, and I'm quite happy with how they're managing those. This is our only assault map, so it might be a little bit more even from now on, but American Tornado also stubbornness, in my opinion, on their defense with that rush composition and not really understanding their matchup that well.
I think American Tornado, like in the general sense, their rushes are super good. They're one of the best rush teams in Contenders North America. The only issue is that Odyssey took advantage of that, where they would take multiple angles of attack around American Tornado, where usually when you're running a rush cop, you kind of have this clear sight of this is the target we want to go towards. We run straight ahead. The issue is that Odyssey would then come from behind, whether it's Rhino or Sigma, kind of doing a pile drive in the back or whatnot. So it forced American Tornado to hesitate and be like, hey, do we still continue forward? Do we turn around and appeal for our supports? There was a lot of decisions and a lot of thoughts around American Tornado and all that confusion. And you don't have time to think. You know, you don't have a war table where you're like, okay, well, who do you guys think we should go after? Like, you don't have time to think. You need to just make a decision. And by the time that they hesitated, they made a decision. OG Ultraviolet dead, thanks to whoever on Odyssey. And then the fight was done there. Also, Wub is always the one to go after that. If it's OG Ultraviolet dying first, it's Wub right after that. It's not even that much focused on Reiner or False. It's on these supports. And that's not something American Tornado are used to.
I love Democracy Lemon. But I also love taking a break to enter into some Twitch chat giveaways for Head. So I will see you guys in a couple of minutes.
Who is this Mayhem Spring Classic team?
Attention! It's enough. This has gone on way too long. If we're gonna win this thing, we've got to go big.
Introducing Zaxby's new signature sandwich with a double hand-breaded filet, split top bun, and Zax sauce, or new spicy Zax sauce. Only at Zaxby's. Order ahead, drive through, or get it delivered.
This is the Mountain Everest Max. It is a fully hot swap, customizable, modular keyboard that really pulls off something special that no other keyboard has done in the past with these certain add-on pieces. That not only can you add them and take them off as you please, but you can put them on whatever side of the keyboard you want. But the big selling point with this is the add-on modules. They have the numpad with LCD screens and a media dock. So the option is completely yours to configure this keyboard however you want, however you want to use it. You can build it all up to its Everest Max version. Just use the media dock if you want to have a smaller, compact layout, or change up the sides. If you want to use this completely on the left side, if you're a lefty, you have complete freedom to change this and configure it however you want. And that's the overall beauty of a modular keyboard like this. Everest really has something special here.
It is Revival!
Possibly the final map of our grand finals, Odyssey on Series Point 3-2. And man, that last map was a doozy, but we're going back to control like that.
This is worrying. That's all I can say. Control is where Tracer thrives. Control can be about just raw fragging power and how much you can get done in the first fight and being able to snowball from there by being able to hold to 99% and then being able to just pick and choose a fight where you place your ultimate advantage afterwards. And the thing is, Sigma often wins a first fight because he just gets a pick. He gets a random kill out of nowhere. They never see it coming. So I am worried right now for American Tornado, but they have been looking pretty good on Lijiang Tower thus far. What I want to see for these guys is that Control Center comes up first. We need Control Center to come up first. We need them to have a Reinhardt map. And then they've just got to win one of the other maps. And then we get ourselves a 7-map series or a 6-map series.
Oh boy, don't tease me with a good time. I also think Sigma was just unpunished throughout Volskaya. I saw a lot of times that OG had a good shield bash. I don't think they played a McCree, but the shield bashes though, and Sigma just didn't die. So as much as I know American Tornado don't want to focus all their attention on one player because Rush is about the overall fight, you gotta pick your threats and you gotta pick something to go after. And I think American Tornado definitely looked a bit confused, and for good reason. I mean, they're getting attacked from literally every angle. Who do you run after?
Well, they're gonna have to find someone, otherwise it's Curtain Simon and they'll have to settle for second. And American Tornado aren't really a team, but like to settle for second. I think they may have actually lost a Contenders Week 2 Odyssey before, when they actually had old Reiner on vacation for one of their months, and they had to play, I believe, with Beast instead, who is now on the Toronto Defiant, or rather was on the Toronto Defiant, then was not on the Toronto Defiant, and now is on the Toronto Defiant again. What an Odyssey.
You just hurt my brain so much, but like all control maps, this will probably also hurt my brain, because map 1 was a little bit just as chaotic, and that's kind of the nature of control. I remember Oasis, we had both Hammonds, a lot of Tracer 1v1s, a little craziness with the Maze and the McCrees. I did miss the King Farah, and he substituted back in to do just that.
The dream. King on the Farah. I hoped for American Tornado's sake, and for the sake of you and I getting a 6-map series, Lemon, that we'd be going to Control Center first. Alas, it's not to be. This is exactly what Odyssey were hoping for, but Speedily will be a very potent counter to King up in the air, and the Echo might be quite difficult to get rid of for Sigma.
I don't know if you want to play that bridge side against the Farah. I think American Tornado should have played White Room, and because Ultraviolet's not going to be able to cross, and now he's getting pounded by rockets. So I'm a little bit concerned how American Tornado hope to approach this fight. It's probably just relying on Speedily, putting all those eggs in that basket and hoping for the best. Well, it looks like this point is free, so American Tornado are going to take it.
Good space claim here, though, from American Tornado, doing so much poke damage to Odyssey that they were forced to back off to try and heal up. They didn't want to take an under-resourced dive and put themselves in a worse position later on. Right now, they're scouting out for Sigma, and King's going to swap over now onto the Sombra. It's not his best-known hero, Lemon, but maybe can make it work.
Yeah, I think American Tornado knew that once King was substituted in, you bring out the anti-Farah artillery, I guess, you know, Speedily with the stickies, the focusing beam, Wub with the hit scan, and I think that just overwhelmed Odyssey already, and that's a bio that hits Vulcan, who charges in, and Odyssey, well, they're a little bit divided, and that's an early nano for sure, but you don't have Rack Attack, and Luke Mito's getting pressured. Sigma kills 3, and going for the 4th. You don't mess with Sigma, you just don't.
They nanoed him. It's just not fair. 300 effective HP. 360 damage per clip if you hit all those bullets with that nano. It's absolute cyberbullying. And if that's the strat that Odyssey want to go for, you know what? You go for it. They are going to swap away now, though. Here's the nano. After this, Luke Mino is going to go over onto the Zenyatta instead to provide a little bit more, let's say, consistent damage boosting to Sigma on the targets with that Discord Orb compared to a more spotty and sporadic usage of the nano boost.
I thought you were going to say your je ne sais quoi, because I was like, oh, French, I know some of these words. But Wub picks off Luke Mino at a distance. That's going to hurt. You know, no mercy on Odyssey's side to resurrect or forgive that. Well, American Tornado can forgive these picks. The Valkyrie was for the AoE damage boost. King slept on his journey back and finished off. Wub assisting with that, and point is still in Odyssey's favor, though.
Damage boosted execution right there means King's going to take a while to return, but Sigma's going to be happy to contest this from within the Immortality field until that's taken down. The Central Pavilion will provide plenty of cover, but they're distracted by more fruitful targets like Rack Attack. And this is one of the first times I've seen this point swap back so to and fro on a Lijiang Tower with these kinds of compositions. Usually the defensive positioning allows you to really control how the engagements happen, and you're able to get a much more solid lead out of the first capture. King has access now. Oh, you can't hide there. You can't hide versus Sombra. She'll find you and you won't know you're found.
He was just blowing his nose. Why you gotta pick on an AFK person like that, man? They can't fight back. But it's a great hack, great execution. Odyssey 6 versus 5. Make sure they save Rhino because, ooh, an EMP hits 2. And the Wub and Bolts are not really taking any damage. So I don't think Odyssey were ready. Speedily with the stick onto the chunkiest man in the room. It's Rhino, gets saved by the Immortality, and the American Tornado have more than enough kills to take this. And False even kept the mech through all of that, and probably thanks to the damage mitigation of that nano boost.
Yeah, it feels like whatever happened with that EMP, the rest of Odyssey were not ready for it. Either they didn't have the positioning to find those who were hit, or just EMPing a McCree and a Diva is not too useful of an ultimate. Rack Attack find themselves incredibly low, Lemon, but they do have the tanks back in.
Oh, and that's a hack onto Wub, and even with the pounce from Rhino, they couldn't confirm that kill until later, but still, 5 versus 5. Great stick onto Ultraviolet. Sigma is popping off. Now he's chasing down OG, gets the finish. No supports for American Tornado, but Odyssey are still down, only 47% and growing after the flip through. And we have a pause and a disconnect from Odyssey's off tank. Now it's like the Where's Waldo game.
Vulcan is off, but you wanted some French, Lemon. Right now, I will give you some French. Letting Sigma absolutely tear apart American Tornado is the strategy de jour today. Wait, are they unpausing? Are they? Oh, it's probably V's gone back into the lobby. It just hadn't reappeared on the HUD for me, so I was like, are we going to 5 versus 6 this? It's a little bit early to call that. Back over now, though. American Tornado only have to win a single fight, but they don't really have a game-winning ultimate right here. The nano boost onto Speedily could be very potent. We've seen it work on Sigma before, but we need a little bit more generation from Ultraviolet before that's available.
We're getting close to an EMP from Odyssey 2. Rhino slept, but he seems perfectly fine. The rest of Odyssey just follow up right with him. And now, if you're American Tornado, you're worrying about this EMP. You'll have a nano for Wub, and no, it gets eaten up by Vulcan. What a heads-up play, but a bio's definitely going to hurt this front line. Odyssey backing away, and the EMP severely injured American Tornado, but they are not going away. Well, Rhino will, because it just got pulsed by Sigma. And there's a bit of a party in Dojo. I think False was uninvited. And as the dust clears, 99 to 95%, Odyssey with the point in hand just have to not choke, and they can take this round.
This fight falling apart, but Rack Attack taken out by Rhino. That's going to be one steady source of healing missing here for Odyssey. Sigma falls a little bit low, but isn't forced to use the recall yet. In fact, it's going to come up in just 3 seconds. That's when they're going to get a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more rowdy, a little bit more cheeky as they head into the back line. But Rhino's got the cheek to do it first. Both of the supports of American Tornado are down, and despite such a powerful start from the Gauntlet champions, Odyssey now find themselves on map point, match point, and tournament point.
Anyone else clench when Luke Mino was like doing his Tony Hawk impression on top of Hammond mines? Because I did. Because I know you guys might trust Luke Mino's Lucio, but we've all messed up our wall rides, and we've all ran into that mine accidentally. So, well, Odyssey still won the fight. So don't mind me. I was just sweating a little bit. Like they have to take over, but. So we're going to be sweating a lot more. Like you said, could be the final round, and Kingsfire could be coming out to play.
This is, once again, worst case scenario for American Tornado. Still no control center. That's where they would have been able to butter their bread, as it were. They're going to have to get to a point here. That's problem number 1. Once they get to a point, then they have to try and keep it. They are going to try and play in the courtyard here, though. Maybe they could try and overwhelm Luke Mino. The main advantage they have, of course, is speed, and Luke Mino is going to have to be very proactive with their rotations to get away from a speeding American Tornado.
Rhino's just dancing around like, look at me, don't look at my fire, whatever you do, or my Tracer, and look how much poke damage Odyssey have. They have a lot of ult charge. American Tornado just taking safety in places that have ceilings, because that's somewhere a little bit difficult for Sigma and King to fight into. Now quick rotation to the point. Odyssey want to cap that up first, so the longer these fights go, the bigger the advantage they have. They do freeze up Rhino, though, so American Tornado have a momentary advantage as they go after Vulcan next, who decides to just fly away. And everyone from Odyssey is just separated from each other and picked apart. American Tornado are the ones to cap first.
Renovare working out a couple of frustrations. Batting down the Farah. King had a little bit of a messy disengage, which I think might have contributed to Odyssey being a little bit haphazard in how they contested that. Unfortunately, they used their jump jets to gain a significant amount of height and hit their head on one of the exposed lips of a pagoda. Sigma's in the back, access to a pulse bomb very shortly, approaching calmly, doesn't want to make too much sound, sends it in, misses the stick, and no collateral damage.
I can't believe he didn't get that stick. He like hugged somebody with it, sandwiched them even. Nothing yet, but American Tornado disengaged to that point. King trying to go unnoticed. He has a barrage and immediately on the one, which a flashbang almost comes out after he died. His soul had revenge. King with the double kill. I don't think you want to play on the coast when this guy has a concussive blast. As Odyssey, 6 versus 4. No supports for American Tornado. Well, you just die on the point, extend what you can, and you go next.
Oh, man, that was such a good approach from King. The damage boost on the barrage as well meant that it was an instant deletion for Wub. Even as they got the flashbang out, they were dead before it exploded. unable to follow that up themselves, and now they're getting accosted on their way into the point. This is one of the things about the Pharah. Once you have control, they have to move through your Pharah's zone of influence. That means damage, and that means they've almost already got a barrage. They only just used it. They're 94%. This is madness.
Oh my god, and Wub just comes out with no shield and a Deadeye, and hope to god he found King, and he did. Now they just deny that space, so Rack Attack can't res. He goes for the res on the Luke Mia. You need all the support you can get, quite literally, and Odyssey, even though they've lost King, they win the war, and that's all that matters. And with that fight win, this surely will be enough to not only equalize the score, but give Odyssey a lead, and this is scary for American Tornado.
This is one of those moments where you have the evidence of Rhino and Vulcan being one of the longest standing duos in North American contenders when it comes to the tanks. What a great setup with the pile driver to ensure that people could not flee effectively from a self-destruct. King's around the back, has access to the barrage. Ultraviolet doesn't want to use that immortality field too early, but they're forced to use it on the rotation. And you know what comes next, Lemon.
A barrage, and I hope Wub has his eyes turned on, and he does it. OG dies for it, and King gets to live through it, so Wub has to be careful because King is behind them. But American Tornado, they win the frontline war, so who cares? This is all they have to do is just stick around and live through the rest of it. Odyssey will have to disengage, reset, gather back everyone. This next fight is going to matter.
Luke Mino now swapped over, no longer on the Baptiste instead. The AoE healing and the speed of a Lucio is chosen as for weapons of choice. American Tornado is going to have a little bit more healing, and Luke Mino must have got caught while they were wall riding and just hacked off the map.
He got a shatter from Reiner just to get down that Hammond because his mobility is so fast he can just get away, and then even when you do damage to him, you need so much CC to stop a Hammond. But speaking of which, no one can stop Reiner once he puts the pedal to the metal. And Odyssey were like, oh, we could maybe back cap, but nope, denied that as well. 97+% Odyssey have to touch, and Speedily has a leftover EMP, and he just went for the natural hack on the Rhino, which stopped him from running, and you have the EMP to stop Luke Mino. It's even more BM than it looks. American Tornado just have to not choke forehead, and this should be in the bag.
I love the usage of the EMP as well for the momentum stop. Sigma's still alive, so this isn't quite lost yet, but 100 HP, no recall, up against the sound barrier and the Deadeye. I don't think it's meant to be, my love. It's going to be 1-to-1. What heads-up play there from Speedily? It was only the singular with the EMP, but they knew that it was just going to be staggers anyway. You know how long a Lucio can last when they have access to that wall ride, because it makes them so difficult to try and hit. And you knew that you had potential for being booped off there. Sigma might have found your translocator, so why not use the momentum cancel, the micro jump of the EMP to stay on and make sure that Luke Mino was going to be in a terrible position afterwards. I love to see it. And now, Reinhardt versus Reinhardt. This is where American Tornado can take us 3-3. This is where it can all be laid on the line, and American Tornado can bring themselves back into this tournament.
Are we getting a Game 7 or a Florida Mayhem Spring Classic champions crowned here? What a better map. Control Center. Speedily to the Sombra. Wub on the McCree. Sigma stays on something other than the Tracer. I didn't know he unlocked the other characters yet, but already an early immortality from Odyssey. Rhino gets stunned up, keeps the shield up, and just waits for Sigma to gather more and more DPS. That beam charges up more against those shields, and Speedily was found. Advantage for Odyssey, and this is when they push in. The shield is low from Reiner, and he's getting hammered down. The immortality drops to save him, and all he can do is swing and run, but Odyssey have the fight under control. Maybe a missing Rhino, but overall the war won by Odyssey.
Surprised that Luke Mino isn't playing Diva, because that's some bloody impressive APM. Teleporting away there from the Doomfist combo. Very intelligent from Sigma. It's a good block on the punch as well by the fortified Orisa. No CC for me. No thank you, sir. But it's going to be delivered anyway by Reiner, and the charge is going to be the coup de grace.
Why is Reiner not dead? How is he still in this game? Odyssey got him solo so many times. Odyssey should have won this 20 years ago. I am extending my life because Odyssey don't know how to finish their fights. But hey, American Tornado fighting their way through, and it's a shatter, a big one from Rhino. The tanks are so low. OG is forced to use a sound barrier. Even though they've lost Reiner, they want to turn the tables, and so they have. Point is capped by American Tornado, and Odyssey never got to cap at all.
It was expensive though for American Tornado. Odyssey still have the supercharger, and this supercharger is going to require American Tornado either to bow out of a fight or take a very quick engagement where they get rid of it too sweet. They are going to be able to teleport towards the other side.
Okay, speedily with the engage, no execution, and it's Odyssey that peel for each other so well. And they have a TP from Sigma. If things were to get a little hairy, they can just get out forehead. And that worked out. So I'm wondering if Speedily even sticks on to this, because this is scary to get close to.
The TP here might be as a countermeasure to an expected Speedily Doomfist as well, because you know that the Doomfist engagement is completely nerfed and neutered if you can just instantly leave. If there's no real danger, because he's so proximity based in terms of the danger he presents.
You got a Riptire, King, up the wall, to the left, to the right, looking for a victim, and it's Ultraviolet. It's got your name on it, no immortality available either. Odyssey have control of the point, slowly starting to take that lead. Speedily might have landed on the Lucamino, but King got the last laugh. Odyssey holding server side, not trying to overextend, especially with an Orisa. You can't go too fast, too far. Rhino's gonna swing and walks right into the shatter of Rhino, just absolutely dominates American Tornado, who did not see that coming. And Odyssey hold on to the objective.
The good news for American Tornado, at least, is that Sigma's wall here might not be overly damaging to them with their reliance on close quarters combat. Rhino's going to be able to move straight through that, and now doesn't have to worry about blocking a shadow. Luke Mito going down early is very, very bad news, and they've got King as well. This could be a wash. You could just give up right here, but you want to try and play at least for a bit of percentage.
What? Where's my webcam, my web montage? I'm upset. This guy just walks in, kills 3 just like that. Are you kidding me? And that's long range too. And man, Overwatch is hard to aim sometimes. American Tornado win a fight off of web. So golf claps to web.
That's the most popular that web has been since the original dubstep track dropped in about 2004.
The web step, of course.
Sigma's going to open up now with a photon barrier. They're going to use it for cover, but already that's a fat engage.
Oh, and that shield is just going to charge Sigma up, and they're just getting lasered away. And everyone from Odyssey, all they have to do is peel for Sigma. Just boop them away. Immortality, swing. All Sigma has to do is hold down that left click. You know, with a little sprinkle of aim. This is all Odyssey needs. Almost a lead change, but back in favor of Odyssey. 1 fight left until we crown our champions.
This could be it. This could be Odyssey beating the Stigma, beating the team that had slain so many
Speedily?
at the North American Gauntlet. Speedily's in the back. We can all see him coming through. Might be able to trigger overtime here, but might even be able to find an opening pick. That'd be a little bit better. We don't see him thus far. He hasn't got too much off that first engage, and now he's low on health, and Sigma's chasing him down. It's not going to be done.
Well, Reiner, this has to be the most alpha shot. No, it's not it. But his shield is low, and he's getting lasered by Symmetra. Overtime into effect. Odyssey with a supercharger, the Symmetra shield, and Rhino with a leftover shatter. The Riptire didn't do anything. Good peel from OG. The supports are still up, but Reiner and False are not. Odyssey have not lost anyone yet, and they have leftover ultimates. Here comes Speedily saying hello and goodbye just as quickly. OG booping around, skating around, but nothing more he can do. As Odyssey have cleared away the competition, and Odyssey will be crowned your Florida Mayhem Spring Classic champions.
We all saw this Odyssey roster and we all thought, crikey, that's going to be absolutely bloody deadly. And you know what? We were absolutely right. Odyssey, no longer second place heroes. They won a couple rounds of contenders, but the second American Tornado were at full strength again. It felt like Odyssey were always playing second fiddle in this tournament, however. Across multiple compositions, across multiple potential metas, they have proven themselves to be superior to American Tornado in this early 2020 benchmark. 2021 even. I know what year it is.
I don't even know where I am sometimes, but I am here, and right now we have our champions of Odyssey, and just, I made a face. Again, I'm not roasting leg day. Sometimes, you know, but the cards, yeah, Sigma, 42% kill participation, if I'm remembering that number correctly. Just the Symmetra, you know, we saw something other than Tracer, and how cool their rush was playing off of a Symmetra. It's a bit of a different flavor, as American Tornado relied on the engages of Speedily, who didn't get that many executes as we're used to.
It was just a little bit more difficult to get in there. It felt like Odyssey just... they were winning 1v1s. And that's not something that really happens against against American Tornado. You don't win 1v1s against American Tornado. They've always been as much of a powerhouse as they have been, because when it comes down to the nitty-gritty, when you find those 1v1s, you win them. And I am so excited for North American Tier 2 now, knowing that it's not just American Tornado looking incredible. We also have so much potential in Odyssey and so many other teams who have shown their mettle today, who have done fantastic things as well, like Obey Alliance and like Revival. This is going to be an action-packed year.
And we didn't even get to see European teams in this tournament, and they have a bunch of stuff going on too. I'm super excited for Contenders North America and Europe to start. But Odyssey are your champions today, and that's a big statement to make against American Tornado, who were your Gauntlet North American champions. And, you know, still the most of this core being the same except False. And we said that False has really stepped up. We even gave him as Zaxby's MVP of the match, where if this is ready, speaking of which, I think we might be ready for an MVP of our grand finals any minute now. A drum roll.
And to no one's surprise, it is, of course, the Terror on DPS, player of 2 heroes, the Symmetra and the Tracer today, but on both of them proved to be incredibly deadly, overwhelming, and unmatchable. It is the wonderful Sigma who is our Zaxby's MVP here at the Mayhem Spring Classic, and it's well earned, Lemon. It's very well earned.
There is so many players standouts today. I've had to pick like some favorites. King, definitely Pharah. Holy cow. I know Pharah is just a hard hero to counter in general, but he popped off and found some really good moments to Barrage. Wub had some really quick reaction times to be able to flashbang most of it or try and deal with the King as much as he could, but a 1v2 is a little bit hard. Did you have any favorites in this series besides Sigma? I know we kind of sung Sigma songs all day, but yeah.
I enjoyed seeing more variety from Rhino, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a sneaking suspicion about the efficacy of a Rhino Rhine for a while, and going up against Rhino and being able to sort of trade blows has been, for me, a big confidence booster in that Odyssey could be quite meta-proof.
Well, we have one last surprise for everybody. We're going to have a winner's interview from with somebody from Odyssey, so you won't want to miss it. See you after this.
Who is this Mayhem Spring Classic team?
All right, soldiers. Today we decide. Are we gonna run and hide, or are we going to fight? They think it's over. Well, they got another thing coming. Because today we're going big.
Introducing Zaxby's new signature sandwich with a double hand-breaded filet, split top bun, and Zax sauce, our new spicy Zax sauce. Only at Zaxby's. Order ahead, drive through, or get it delivered.
It is American Tornado!
Welcome back from the break, everybody. We have a special interview with Malthel. Yes, from Odyssey. Yes, he's on the bench. How's it going, man? How's the off season? That was an intense grand final.
It's feeling pretty warm on the bench, but I like it.
Nice and cozy.
It's always good to hear live from the bench. Of course, it was quite an easy dub for you today, but maybe you'd like to take us through the reasons why you guys managed to win today, Malthel.
We're not too good at Brawl, and we've been like, Odyssey's never been a good Brawl team, like, ever. So I'm like, just put Venom in, force, like, play maps that revolve around, like, wide maps that you can play, like, Tracer. And so we just picked Tracer maps and forced it, and we won off it.
It felt like you guys were trying to develop different ways of playing around the clumpy rush style of American Tornado. Like, Volskaya definitely comes into mind of how it felt like you guys were breaking the ankles of American Tornado, just like surrounding them, taking different angles. Is that really the key to beating Rush, is to take those angles, or what was the key to success on Volskaya?
Yeah, taking rotations and taking angles like around them. So it's like if they go right, you rotate left, you throw dynamite, you keep poking at them so they can't live, and eventually you'll win the long battle because they can't rush you because you're so far away.
I think we might have seen one map with you today. I think it was a King's Row earlier in the day playing some Doomfist. Can we expect to be calling you one map Mouthful for the remainder of 2021 when it comes to these series, or
no,
three plans for your use?
Three maps. I play 3 maps. They were just too scared to pick it. They wouldn't pick Blizzard World, or they wouldn't pick Temple of Anubis. They were too scared.
Is that the signature Mouthful Reaper on Blizzard World?
Yeah, I actually would have played Reaper. You would have seen some Reaper today.
That one is actually stained into Drifter's Nightmares. That literally broke them in one of our contenders months. You tore them in 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely make Overwatch a little bit comedic that way. I want to talk about Sigma, and we've already talked to your team about why and how he was picked up, but for the first time we saw Sigma not play Tracer, and then there was a move to Symmetra. Why was that call made? Because it seems like you guys found a lot of success with this Tracer, so why is Symmetra on Lijiang?
Because it's a closed map, so you had to play like Symmetra, because we knew they were gonna go Doom. You can't play like Poke on that map, because like they can just AFK in White Room and just win the fights. So we had to play Symmetra. We were hoping we didn't get that map, but we did, so we just had to play it.
Came through eventually, but I want to ask you guys, because I haven't had a chance to talk to you since towards the end of Gauntlet. What's the off-season been like for Odyssey? What have you guys been up to? What's like the recruitment process for new members been like?
A lot of Luke and his dictatorship and his mental breakdowns, kicking players, getting players, kicking them, going back to them. And it's like, yeah, just the core always stayed. So Volk and Rhino always stayed together, and Luke, but everyone else was like kicked. And then he wanted them back, and then he kicked them again. I don't know. It's all like Luke's dictatorship. And that's how we were all picked up.
The Luke Mino yo-yo management style.
Yep.
Oh my god, that sounds really stressful, but I want to talk about Havana, where, you guys kind of matched the Brawl for a long time, and then I'm thinking back at the last fight, box of victory, it's right there, and you guys swapped to the Orisa, I think Diva it was, or something like that. So what's kind of the emergency sign that you should go to Orisa or go back to your double shield? Because you guys are kind of the only team who played really, double shield Orisa type of stuff.
It's usually when Rhino's getting Rhine gapped and then he baby rages in the mic. I can't play Rhine, guys. So he picks Orisa, and then Dove picks Soldier, and then we just cross our fingers and hope it works. That's how it usually goes down.
Okay, cool.
You've been listening to some of the comments, right, Mouthful? Do you play any kind of coaching role between maps to try and bring Rhino's baby rage down to a manageable level?
Yeah. I tell him to calm down, just keep playing, and he'll be fine. Yeah.
Did you have to slap Luke Mino around when he was typing in alt chat? Because I saw some solo slams in his direction, and I'm just wondering if there's, he's trying to get in American Tornado's heads, or what's going on there.
Luke's just really good at trash talking, so I just allow him to trash talk. It's cool.
Okay.
I like it.
Do you think that it's an underrated art, the North American trash talking, like the mental warfare?
I think it's underrated. It works. Like if someone messes up one play, you type question mark in chat, and that little question mark means so much to them. And they take it personal. You get in their head. The mental warfare is really good in NA.
Because I remember Gauntlet when we were doing a bunch of content interviews, and we all asked a bunch of teams, like, who's the team you're gunning for? Who's the team you hate the most? And everyone would always say Odyssey for some reason. And I'm understanding a little bit why. Is there a team that you guys are gunning for, or have a special? I would say hate. Hate's a strong word, but who are you guys gunning for in the upcoming contender season?
Probably Revival. I've seen them type a lot in match chat, so I want to beat them when I play them in contenders.
Nice.
Well, Malthor, as the victor, we will give you your soapbox. Do you have any words for the Odyssey haters, for the Odyssey lovers, for your adoring fan base of the world's most mouthy bench boy?
I'm not a 3-trick, and I can play Tracer. And yeah, that's about it.
We've heard that before.
Oh God, thank you so much for the interview and congratulations and best of luck in the upcoming season.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the wonderful and not a 3-trick who can also play Tracer, Malthor from Odyssey, the surprising, some might say, victors of our tournament here, the Mayhem Spring Classic. And of course, we have some other thanks to give out as well as to our participating teams, like to our production staff and of course our major sponsors like Zaxby's, who have been pouring so much support into both the Florida Mayhem and of course Tier 2 Overwatch as well, and we're eternally thankful to them. And we've got some of our other sponsors like Mountain, Republic of Gamers, the Gift of Life Marrow Registry, and we are just enormously thankful to all of them for sponsoring this event, and of course to you guys for watching as well.
Oh, and you guys should check out the bracket, guys. This has been a long day, but an eventful one. And I know we all needed this in the off season. Just any sort of juice of entertainment, and it was all here. And kind of how Dor and Hurix, who covered the first half of the day, like they said, it was a roller coaster of emotions. No one could have predicted the results that we've had today of reverse sweeps, game 5s galore, 3-0s, unexpected 3-0s, and revenge grudge matches settled at the end. Odyssey are your champions. The $5,000 prize pool. American Tornado second place, and Obey Alliance with third. This was a great day. I'm so glad to be back in the booth with you, Leg Day.
I am glad to be back with you as well, and I'm glad to be here previewing some of the best teams in North America, and they are definitely going to be incredibly exciting to watch, which is why you guys should be committing the dates of Overwatch contenders to your diary for 2021 to make sure that you're never missing a beat. And besides, we all need something to do while we're all staying inside, staying safe, and being responsible in these trying times.
We're going to try our best. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you when we see you.